Hello, Panthers! This video will teach you the basics about taking lecture and reading notes. We will review outline notes in this video. Other videos in this series will cover different styles of notes. Some students have magic brains that remember everything that they hear in a lecture. Unless you have a magic brain, you will need to take lecture notes mostly because you cannot remember all of the information from a lecture. The information that an instructor presents in class may not be available from any other source, and it certainly might be on a test. Some other students have magic brains that remember everything that they read. If you have a magic brain, you can stop watching this video now. For the rest of you, please continue. College students are busy people who don't have time to read their textbooks more than once. Taking reading notes will give you a shorter version of information to review and study. And yes, information in the textbook certainly might be on a test. A German researcher named Hermann Ebbinghaus studied how quickly people forget information. 20 minutes after people heard a lecture, they remembered only 58% of the lecture material. 31 days after the lecture, they remembered about 20% of the material. Taking notes is something that you do. You remember 90% of what you do, 75% of what you see, and only 20% of what you hear. So take some notes already. The main goal of taking lecture notes is not to record everything the instructor says. Instead, pay attention to keywords and phrases, main ideas, and examples. Taking lecture notes can help you pay attention because it gives you something to do in class. It might also prevent you from falling asleep. The notes that you take with your own hands will help you remember information better than anyone else's notes. You can relieve the pressure of trying to remember all of the information in your textbooks by taking reading notes. The action of taking notes will keep you better focused on the material, so you don't need to reread the same paragraph 5 times. The information from both your lecture notes and your reading notes can be integrated into study tools. Reviewing and integrating your notes on a weekly basis makes it easier to prepare for tests. For lecture notes, prepare your paper by writing the date, class, page number, and even the topic on top of every sheet of paper. Don't wait for the instructor to tell you to start taking notes. Just start taking notes immediately. Write phrases instead of entire sentences, and don't worry about grammar. Instead of writing everything that the instructor says, just record key ideas, details, and examples. The real challenge of taking lecture notes is deciding what information is important enough to put into your notes. Watch your instructor for clues, such as getting excited, repeating words or phrases, waving around their arms and hands, and walking toward the class as they emphasize a point. Information that is on the board or in the slides is also probably important for your notes. As you take your notes, leave spaces between the main ideas. This gives you a place to add more information or information that you missed later. If you make up abbreviations as you go, you probably won't remember what they mean later. Use some standard abbreviations like B/C for because and W/ for with. Develop a few of your own abbreviations and keep a key of what they mean. When you are taking reading notes, start by writing the name of the text at the top of the page and number your notes pages. No matter what style of notes you are using, be sure to add the page number to the margin so you can easily review that part of your text later. Again, you want to write phrases instead of entire sentences with proper grammar. Try to write your notes in your own words instead of copying from your book. Use the letter Q to start and end any quotes that you write so you know that these were not your own words. As with taking lecture notes, deciding what information needs to be in your notes is quite a challenge. Look for visual clues, such as headings, bold or italicized words, or words in the margins. If your book has review questions at the end of the chapter, the answers to those questions should be somewhere in your notes. Always include main ideas, terms, formulas, and symbols. When studying the history of any field, include the people, places, things, events, and ideas. There are many different styles of lecture and reading notes, some of which will be discussed in different videos. This is an example of outline notes. Place your headings on the margins and indent the details below them. If your textbook has headings, then you might want to use them to organize your notes. Leave spaces between sections so you can add more details later, or so you can add information that you missed during the lecture later. The space also makes it easier for you to read and study your notes. Don't worry about using Roman numerals or letters like in a formal outline. Your notes should be informal. Do use the numbers if they are included in your textbook or if your instructor makes a list of something important, like the 6 reasons why the sun could explode tomorrow. Vocabulary words are critically important in college. You need to learn discipline-specific terms for each of your classes. You also need to learn the new words that your instructors and textbooks use when they describe all of those terms. If you don't understand these new words, then you don't understand the terms, and you will have a problem when these words appear on your test. Obviously, you need to make study tools to learn your discipline-specific terms. You also need a system to learn all of the other new words from your lectures and readings. Use the dictionary, either the old school version or the online version, to find the definitions. Make flashcards with the words and their definitions and write the word in your own sentence on the card. Review your new words every week so you can begin to build your vocabulary. Highlighters can be great study tools if you are smart about how you use them. You might want to develop a system of what information you highlight in your lecture notes. You can even use different colors for different types of information. Highlighting the entire page in your textbook doesn't help you. It is meant to call your attention to important information you might want to find again. Read a paragraph or a larger section before you decide what to highlight. Highlight topic sentences, main ideas, keywords, and conclusions. Use a light shade so it is still easy to read the actual text. Mark left to right with your highlighter so you can reread as you go. Sometimes students wonder if they are getting the important information in their notes. You can evaluate them in one of 3 ways. Compare your notes with the notes of a classmate. What did they include that you didn't? What did you include that they didn't? This process can benefit both of you. Visit your instructor during office hours and ask if you are including the correct information in your notes. You can also evaluate your notes after you take a test. First, submit your test and leave the room. Next, review your notes. Place a T by everything that was on the test. If you have several T's, then you took good notes and you might have done well on your test. If you have only a few T's, then you need a new note-taking strategy. You don't have a magic brain, so you need some magic study strategies. Develop a system of daily and weekly note reviews and include it in your planner and on your to-do list. Review your lecture notes daily and review all of your class notes weekly. You can also use your weekly review time to integrate information from your lecture notes and reading notes to create study tools now instead of waiting for the night before the test. Harness your inner geek this week. The Study Time video series is a joint effort between the Learning Center and the Office of Academic Advising, both at the University of Northern Iowa. Please contact the Learning Center if you need additional assistance.